expect is that WikiLeaks, together with some of their partners on this, will basically present their findings, what they found in these 400,000 documents. Some of the highlights to include probably watch for Iraq body count. One of the NGOs partnered. They, of course, have been keeping a civilian death toll in Iraq. They'll also be presenting alongside Julian Assange today. And also public interest lawyers. This is a human rights law firm here in the UK. According to Assange, they will be bringing forward about 40 wrongful death lawsuits as a result of the information found in these documents. So that's just some of what we expect to see. And of course, WikiLeaks itself will be discussing the documents, what's in them, the kind of data that we are seeing from these frontline reports in the war in Iraq, John.
It's really quite interesting, the difference between this document dump, if you like, compared to the original one back in Afghanistan. Just want to keep an eye on the news conference to see, make sure we don't miss the start. But last time there was a great deal of criticism that it was pretty much unfiltered, uncensored, criticism that the WikiLeaks folks put people's lives at risk. It seemed to be unfounded, actually, about a month or so later. But they've done it a little bit differently this time, haven't they?
That's right. What they did last time was they held back some documents that they weren't sure about, that they felt might expose some people. They held back about 1 in 5 documents. This time, what they did was they released the entire cache of documents, but they redacted a lot of the added information. So if you actually log into those war logs, check them out, you'll see a lot of information is missing. I believe the presser will be starting soon, so let's just check in on that.
Good morning. Thanks very much for coming. My name is Gavin McFadgen from the Center for Investigative Journalism at City University, and I'll be attempting to moderate this morning. The press conference, as you know, is dedicated to the release of the Iraq war logs this morning, and these releases are based on 400,000 classified documents that were received and published by WikiLeaks. You will have seen the print, of course, and television coverage this morning. Those speaking this morning are Julian Assange, the editor of WikiLeaks, which he founded in 2006. WikiLeaks has won a number of awards, including the Index on Censorship's 2008 Economist New Media Award, and an award of distinction from the Prix Arts Electronica. In June 2009, WikiLeaks and Julian Assange won Amnesty International's UK Media Award, and in July this year, he won the Sam Adams Award for Integrity. He's joined by Kristen Hofnesen, who became actively involved with WikiLeaks on the Collateral Murder video earlier this year, and has traveled to Baghdad on a fact-finding mission. He has 20 years' experience as an investigative journalist with Channel 2 News, which is a private broadcaster, and RUV, the Icelandic public state broadcaster. He's been awarded twice Iceland's highest journalism award. After WikiLeaks on the panel is John Sloboda. Since 2003, John has been coordinator of the Iraq Body Count Project, an ongoing human security project maintaining and updating the world's largest public database of violent civilian deaths since the 2003 invasion. He's a consultant and director of the Oxford Research Group's Recording Casualties in Armed Conflict program, and chairs the International Advisory Group. He's emeritus professor of psychology at the University of Kiel and an honorary professor at the School of Politics and International Relations at Royal Holloway, University of London. The Iraq body count data, I should mention, has been used by an extraordinary group of people: the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, Al Jazeera, Open Democracy, The Independent, The Guardian, the World Health Organization, the International Criminal Court, the New England Journal of Medicine, and the European Union's Joint Research Center and the Brookings Institute in Washington. And at 10:25, we'll also be hearing from Phil Shiner. Phil Shiner leads the team at Public Interest Lawyers. He's been practicing as a solicitor in the UK since 1981 and has written extensively on international and human rights law. In recent years, he has acted in some of the most important judicial review cases to be brought in his area of expertise, and in March 2010, he led the team to success in the European Court of Human Rights in a particularly important case. He was made a Solicitor of the Year, by the way, in 2008, and was in the Sunday Times top 10 solicitors in Britain in the same year. So I think we can now start with Julian Assange.
Thank you, Gavin. Because we don't have much time, I won't speak for long. But this disclosure is about the truth. Philip Knightley, the great investigative reporter and Australian who for the past 30 or 40 years has made the UK his home, said that the first casualty of war is the truth. But the attack on the truth by war begins long before war starts and continues long after a war ends. In our release of these 400,000 documents about the Iraq War, the intimate detail of that war from the US perspective, we hope to correct some of that attack on the truth that occurred before the war, during the war, and which has continued on since the war officially concluded. In that material, the deaths of some 109,000 people are documented. Internally declared, 66,000 civilians. Working with the Iraq body count, we have seen that there are approximately 15,000 never previously documented or known cases of civilians who have been killed by violence in Iraq. That tremendous scale should not make us blind to the small human scale that occurs in this material. In fact, it is the deaths of 1 and 2 people per event that killed the overwhelming number of people in Iraq. Following our release of the Afghan War Diaries, we thought we would try and pull together a broader coalition, not just involving print, but one that had the emotionality and impact of TV, journalism, and extra research from other groups. So we structured a collaboration between The Guardian, Spiegel, New York Times, our 3 previous print partners, and new groups, the Bureau for Investigative Journalism, Iraq Body Count, whose knowledge of deaths in Iraq is unsurpassed, SVT, the Swedish television, Al Jazeera, Channel 4, BBC Radio, and I'm